afternoon, everyone. Sorry I'm a couple minutes late, I'm running around a bit today. Didn't get everything organized before my running around started. So anyway, just seeing to make sure that I pop up on the other side. Okay, there we go. Okay, turn that volume off. Okay, looks good, sort of. Let's see if we can adjust just a little bit more here, get into focus. Never sure which direction to go here. I think it's like that. There we go. Scoot up a bit. Been taking some pictures with my camera or with my phone. We're not getting everything quite in there. Okay, we're gonna leave it like that. We'll see. We'll shift things around a little bit, but hopefully everyone can see the majority of the layout that we're going to do today. I teased everybody with a little bit of a preview last week about these squares. I don't tend to like really bold prints. I like subtle prints or more subtle prints than say maybe somebody else. And so sometimes when we get these really bold prints like are in the Isabella collection that we've been looking at, things like these, you know, big flower prints, or even the big, sometimes these big geometric prints, right? These are a bit overwhelming for me. I don't necessarily know what to do with them. I actually found a new idea for this one that I really liked, and I'm going to have to play around with it. Or even these medallions, right? So what I have to work with is to be able to use these papers and use them in a way that is maybe less intimidating or less bold in the style. And so one of the consultants, one of the makers had come up with this geometric one, and this is a pattern of that's in, I believe, one of our idea books. Anyway, and I did 3x3 size squares. So the paper, the patterned paper is a 3x3, and then the bluebell, which is this color it's mounted with, is a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So 3x3 and 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And if you notice, if I take off these pieces, and nothing's glued down yet, I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what it might look like when we're done. You take these pieces and you create this diamond pattern, and you'll notice how it really does break up those very bold prints and creates more of a calming effect to put your pictures on. So that, again, the idea is you want your pictures to be the star. You don't want the paper to be the star in most cases. Now, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But in most cases, you do not want the paper to necessarily be the star. So I am, again, using Isabella, and I have cut all of these out. This is a die cut that was left over from the die cut sheets. So these 3 pieces are die cuts. And then we had the magnolia, again, blossom over here. This was a sticker that I de-stickered, and I'm going to just pick these guys up. This was also a die cut. And then this was a sticker that I also de-sticked. And then I have some journaling strips down here at the bottom that were part of the die cut. So I'm going to just set all of those aside. And we are going to start working on putting this together. So it's not fun to watch me glue things down, which is why I did a lot of the prep work beforehand. But I'm going to just slide that one out of the way, and we are going to work on this particular layout. And so I'm going to just slide this over a little bit so that we are on the 12x12 grid. And I want to start at this end and start in the middle of the page. So you'll sort of notice that I have this piece sitting here, and again, this is a 12 by 12, and so when I do this, I want to make sure that I am setting this at the middle of the page. So I want to make sure that I'm going across at the 6, and if I do that, then roughly I should be at, I believe it's at the quarters here. So 1 1/4 and 8 3/4, and that should put me right there in the middle of that page with a 3 by 3, and that looks yes, that looks about right. So we are going to adhere this down, but we do have to cut it, right? So in this case, I'm going to be able to go from corner to corner on this cut, but I'm not going to have that luxury on this side, just because of the way that it's set up. You'll notice that if I do corner to corner here, it offsets this, this particular one, so it doesn't line up with this piece here. And so I'm going to have to, in order to keep those aligned, you'll notice that I'm going to be offset over on this side. So I'm going to hold on trimming these until after I get everything set, and then I'll trim them, and then I might have to trim them again when I get to the right side because I'm carrying this over across both pages. So anyway, so we are going to start with cutting this one. And so we're just going to take out our paper trimmer. And I am going to set this so that the corners of this are sitting in the trough of the paper trimmer. And I want to try and make sure that they're straight. And, oops, well, it doesn't help when your fingers move them. Okay, that looks, nope. So we're going to make sure when we have the rail down that we're getting the corner to corner. And I do find that when I do this, I like to start in the middle of the paper. Otherwise, I could damage those corners. And so if I start in the middle, then the chances of me damaging those corners are limited. All right, so then I'm going to take my piece, and this is extra, so we may use it, but we may not. So I'm going to just set that aside. And then we're going to come here and we are going to get our adhesive. There it is. And we are going to tack this down really well. So we're really going to get adhesive on the corners of this, because again, this is going to be sort of going off the edge. I want to make sure I have enough adhesive on this one to make sure it's secure. So like I said, we're trying to center this so that we are in the middle. And that doesn't look right now that I have that piece up. I look like I'm too high, right? So here's 6, and it's pretty low on my numbers. So this is where I get to play with some adjustments. So maybe that's better. So 8, so if I'm 6, I'm going to be 8 1/4 on this side and 3 1/4 on the other side here. And so I want to make sure that I'm butted right up against the edge of this paper and lay that down. All right, so now I can start building out from there. So now I can start building the next grouping. Again, want to make sure that I'm getting a good amount of adhesive on these squares, especially in the corners. And we are going to create about a 1/4 inch gap here. And we're going to do the other side. So we're going to go back and forth in order to make this line up so that we have an even amount between these. All right. This has a zigzag pattern, and so I'm going to make sure that my zigzags are going in the same direction when I'm doing this as well. And I want to make sure that I'm lining up those points. When you're doing a geometric, it is important that you pay attention to that alignment. Okay, so now we're going to put this middle one down. And again, trying to maintain that 1/4 inch roughly separation and making sure we're lining up those points as best we can visually. And so really, you know, once you've got the layout done with this one, it goes pretty fast as far as, you know, creating this, this grid or this layout, diamond layout. Again, trying to maintain that quarter and lining this piece up with that piece. Probably going to run out of adhesive, it feels like. Again, same thing here. Hopefully my head's not in the picture. It probably is, but I'll try not to. My iPads were all dead, or don't have enough battery to last this whole session. So I have my computer on behind me to make sure everything was up and running. So everyone, I can't see anything unless I turn my back. Okay, so again, I want to make sure that I'm not doing this. See, this would look funny if I had the chevrons going this direction. So I want to, for me personally, I want them both going the same direction. And so I'm going to make sure that I'm paying attention to that. And again, I'm trying to make sure that I'm lining up all of those points here, 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 right? So I'm trying to line all of those up. And looking at it, I got just a little bit of overhang. So I'm actually going to fudge this just a little bit because I want this to not overhang. So I might just shrink up that spacing just a tad, because it's not a huge amount. Gotta lift this up just a little bit higher. But I want that point to sort of be right there at the edge of this page, just like that. Ah, got hot in my office all of a sudden. Take off my sweater there. All right, so now these pieces are going to come here. And again, you can see that my points are not going to line up with the edges. So if I trim this here, I'm still going to have some left over. And so I'm going to have to play around with that a bit. So I am going to go ahead and trim these up, and then I'm going to trim them again once I actually get them on the layout. So I am going to do the same thing that I did on the other side with that other piece. I'm going to get this lined up in my trimmer. Then I'm going to go to the middle and go down. Try not to shift it. Whoops, that one shifted a little bit too much, but I know I'm trimming it up again, so that'll be okay. Okay, so we get this guy in here. Again, we're going to trim this up. Trying to get it lined up here. There we go, I think that's good. All right, so I've got these two pieces that are going to go on this other side, which you can't really see, and then I've got these two pieces. And like I said, they're gonna fall over on the edges, but we're going to trim them up. So my adhesive, I want to make sure that I'm getting these down really well. And I'm going to come in a little bit because I know I'm going to be trimming some of that off. But I want to make sure that I'm getting adhesive so that when I do that trimming, that these pieces won't shift. Okay, so again, lining up with this other piece and having about 1/4 of an inch overlay, or not overlay, but 1/4 of an inch reveal there in between those pieces. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. Roughly 1/4 inch, and again I'm trying to line up these points as well to make sure that I've got a good symmetrical. This one looks a little bit off. I think I'm going to move this one just a little bit down. Again, I'm going to have pictures that are going to cover some of this, so it's not going to be that scrutinized, but just like to try when I can. Okay, so I'm going to make sure those are good and down, these are good and down, all of these are good and down. So you'll notice that there is a little bit of overlap. And so when we come to this side, we're going to trim that up with our scissors. Okay, so we're just going to take our handy dandy Teflon scissors and we're going to trim this up from the back side, because that way you have more control of how much you're taking off. And so I'm just running along the edge of this white daisy and I'm trimming up that piece. And I want it trimmed up before I go to the next side, just so that when I line these two layouts up, because again we're sharing, right? We're trying to continue this pattern on the other side, that I can do a good job of lining up the other half of this piece that we just cut to its other side. Now the pattern isn't going to quite line up, okay? And that's again the nature of this because of the way that I cut things, and I'm just going to have to live with that. So the pattern isn't going to quite be perfect, but it will be, I think, good enough that people aren't going to notice. First of all, this particular pattern obviously is not perfect here, and this looks close enough to this one that it will work. But again, you'll see that we've got a little bit of a problem here, right? Because this triangle and this triangle are longer than what's there. So we're going to have to trim up a little bit in order to make this work. And looking at it, and I'm just sort of eyeballing this, just so that you guys know, I'm just sort of eyeballing it, but we're going to have to trim up again a little bit on this pieces. So I'm going to have these overlay a bit, meaning I'm going to essentially, I'm going to line up trying to line this up here, and then we'll trim off that other side. And we'll probably do that at the end. I'll probably wait until I get the rest of these laid down, just in case I need to move anything around before I do any trimming. But again, same thing here. I'm trying to line up that pattern and create a little bit of an overlay to make it look like we just went down the middle there. All right, now that we've done that, now we're going to do the rest of these pieces just like we did the last set. So we're going to take this one, and this time on this particular one, I have to decide which way do I want my chevrons to go. Do I want to continue to go that way, or do I want to change direction? And I felt like it was the best to actually change direction. I felt like that looked the best to actually do that. I'm trying to get these so that they're together enough that I can line up the points, because I want to try and line up these points as best as I can to this, so that it looks like they're touching and they're just coming across, which is again why I might not want the placement of this particular piece doesn't look like it's going to work. So I want to go ahead and possibly pull that guy up. This one I think is good. So this one I'm going to pull up. Remember, the trick I taught you is if you're trying to remove something, it's better when you get under it to twist or to pull off at an angle I did push this down a little bit harder than I probably should have. And then I'm going to have to play with this a little bit more here in a second. Ugh, now everything's going cattywampus on me. Sorry. So by using this guy as my guide, I think that will be better for this because neither one of these lined up right. So I think putting down that first piece was probably a better plan than putting these guys down first. So you can use that blue piece that I put down to create your correct spacing and correct dimension, and now this should line up just fine when we cut it off. So, all right, so here we go. Decide how you want that magnolia to sit here. Again, that's just preference, probably not a big deal. And I do like this, you know, I particularly like a few of these prints. I really like these olive branches. I think these are really nice. And I, you know, really like that pattern. I like these, but these, you know, again, is quite large, and so can be a bit overwhelming on the page, I found. And I do like this diamond. I think there's probably, of all the patterns, the pattern I like the least is probably the medallion. But again, you know, you can work with it. You just have to figure out the best way that works for you. Now, I don't have any pictures printed today for this layout. I didn't get a chance. I've been working on a couple of other things. Again, pay attention to which direction this is supposed to go. And get that lined up. Okay, I'm going to shift everything over so everybody can see what I'm doing. I'm going to give you another quick technique too, and hopefully today, after we finish this layout, since I had a lot of it done, a lot of the work done, I'm hoping that we'll be finished up a little bit early. All right, so now we've got this last piece, and I believe I'm going to go that direction, so I want to make sure, again, I'm going to, I'm going to actually cut this one off separately because I'm not sure how much this is going to overhang. So I was planning on doing it like this. So again, it may be corner to corner, and it looks like we did get it corner to corner. Look at that. Sometimes my plans work almost perfectly. Not quite. It's going to be a little bit off, but I think we'll make it work by giving it a little bit more spacing there. Cool. Okay. All right. So a little bit of a gap there, but we'll figure out how to finish that off. So we have to cut this guy off, and we have to trim these guys off, right? So again, we're going to flip this over. We're going to take our scissors. I've been organizing my scrap room, my office scrap room, so to speak, and trying to get things where I can, like, not lose things in this. You know, you'd be surprised what you can lose in a small space. Can't tell you how many times it's like, I know this is here. I just had it. Where did I lay it down? And I can't imagine people who have maybe what would be considered a more normal craft space, how they keep track of things. I mean, I have been, since our catalog is retiring in 9 days now, I think it's 9 days, I've been trying to go through and kind of organize and figure out where am I going to put stuff and how am I going to reorganize things and how can I keep better track of stuff. And so I'm hoping that I'm going to get a blog post up on that, and might be my first YouTube video. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I'm hesitant to do YouTube videos because of the amount of time it takes, but I do want to try. I just know you have to be consistent, and I'm not good at that at this point in time. I'm semi-consistent here on Facebook, but then to add something else to it, not so sure if I'll be able to do that. But okay, that didn't trim up quite the way I wanted to, but that's okay. We'll live with it. I guess we could have probably used this side too, couldn't we? This one that was a perfect triangle. I guess I could have not wasted a triangle there, but that is okay. It is what it is. I didn't think about that. All right, so now that we've got these together, and you can see because of this flower, you can hardly tell that we took a section out, and same with this particular pattern. So I feel like, those were the best two choices that I could have made from a pattern perspective to end on. All right, so now the rest of this is really kind of just laying things out, right? Just playing with our photos, playing with where we want to place things. And my first thought is I thought I wanted a photo, 4x6 and maybe a 3x4 here, but I do think they need to get backed. I do think that they need to have some sort of backing. Now, I know I pulled out that piece of paper. See, I told you, I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't done anything, and I'm missing the piece of paper that I pulled out. There it is. So my choice is I could back it in the blue, right? I could back it in the blue bell color. My other choice is that I can find my sage, and I just thought of this as an option. Because there is a lot of sage here in this paper, I could say, okay, I've got a lot of bluebell there already, right? I could back my photos in sage, and I could do the light side of sage, or I could do the dark side of sage. So that's option. Those are a couple of my options. My other option is that there is a third color in this that is lemonade. But I think, and I'm going to just bring it out just so that everyone can see. I'm going to pull a piece of the lemonade. I think this is probably going to be too bright. But let's just take a look and see if we like it. Because maybe it is the best choice. And this is some of the stuff you have to play around with, right? Let me see if I have a little piece of lemonade. Like I said, I got myself semi-organized, and I have like these little scrap pieces of things, so I can use smaller pieces. But the lemonade is going to look like that. So that's lemonade. This is the light side. I think that's the light side of lemonade. That's the light side of lemonade. This is the light side of bluebell. Okay, just brings out more of that blue. And then this is the light side of sage, which I tend to like the light side. I did the light side here. And so if I bring this down and take a look, not fond of the sage, so I think we can eliminate the sage. The bluebell continues what I already have here, which is nice. And I do actually kind of like this bright sunny yellow. I think it pops off of the page a little bit more. So what I might do is do a combination. I might do the smaller photo in the bluebell and the larger photo in the lemonade. And I think for sure the sage was a nice choice, but I don't think I like it. So some of this is all about what you like, right? It's not about what's right or what's wrong. It's about what you think looks good, what is pleasing to your eye, right? And that might be different than what's pleasing to somebody else's eye. All right, so I'm going to do, so this is going to be 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I think I'm going to mirror that on the other side as well. So I'll just do a second one here because I have another 4 by 6 on the other side. And then I've got an extra piece that will go in my stash. And then for the bluebell, my photo is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So we'll go do 3 1/4. And this is just standard matting sizes. I'm not doing anything fancy here. 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then on the other side, I had another 3 1/4 and a 3 by 3. So we'll do another 4 1/4 here. And then we'll see what we want to do with this smaller one. So we could, again, do bluebell again, because we've got another piece, but we're gonna wait and see. We're gonna see how we like it. Okay, so these pieces are my leftovers. Those will go back in my stash. And we are going to mat these. So since I didn't have my photos, I'm not sure what I'm going to put on this layout yet. So just by using these placeholders, it allows me to just pop a photo right on top and I know what size it is. Again, trying to get an even reveal there. And then we'll do the same thing on this one. Okay. So funny, this tape runner, sometimes depending on the tape that's in it, makes funky noises. It's kind of weird. It's almost like it's possessed. Okay, so I wanted to overlay my photos like that, and then I wanted to use this die cut in the corner here with this. And again, these were just die cuts that that were left over, not necessarily left over, but that were part, I'm just making sure that I'm still on camera, I am. Die cuts there, and then my other thought was that I thought I wanted to do this, but I think this needs to be backed on something. Was kind of my problem with this, is that it's kind of fading into the background there. But I'm also thinking I'm just checking to see. I do have some bluebird. I think I am going to do this. All right, I'm just getting a piece of scrap paper. I think I want to do some splatters. Did I get 2 pieces? I hope I did. Yes, I did. So I think I want to do a little bit of splattering here. And I probably should have thought of that before I put all those pieces down, but just trying to see if I can cover up enough of this where I can get some splatters done. Okay, so let's start like this. Trying to be semi-careful. So if I go like this, and if I go like this, I can kind of get that corner. And I'm going to get this going on a block here. Okay. Just make sure I get, oops, yep, see? Want to be careful. I didn't want to do that over my project. That would not be good. But I'm going to try and, now that I've got it some in my tip, I'm going to just try and lightly get some splatters here. That's good. And then I'm going to shift my paper. Do the same thing here. Just lightly tap my finger. Not trying to get too much, I'm just trying to get a little bit. It's going to actually dry a little bit less than what you see there. So it may look like there's like some big globs, and there are, but it's going to dry a little bit less intense than what you see there. And it's just coming out an awful lot. So I'm going to just take a little bit more off and want some little drops. Getting some more big drops than I want. I want some little guys. This is gonna, maybe if I do this just slightly. Just want to get a couple of little guys out there. Okay. I don't want to be too futzy with it, but we're going to again do this here, and we're going to use our block just a little bit since we have so much ink on here. I can get a few more little drops on. Whoops, I tipped it. Okay, I don't know if I've got, there we go. Get that, set that down there, got it all over my fingers. See, messy. Messy, messy, messy. Let me get one more just to try and clean up my fingers a bit. Ooh, those are going to be stained. Look at that, nice stained fingers. This is why I said last week, use box. You'll also notice I got some of it on that yellow paper over there, on the yellow, on that when I was doing my flicking. So, okay, I think that's about as good as I'm going to get for that off. Okay, oops, and another one. I'm going to stain my table. I can already see this. My table's going to get stained. Another reason, oh, I got lucky. It didn't stain my table. Another reason to use your all-purpose mat when you're doing some of these things versus what I'm doing here, but it was a last minute change of ideas. Okay, so we're going to just, again, try and get a few things here and hope we like it so we don't have to flip it over and redo it, because I have done that before in the past, where I've done something like this and I've not liked it, and I've had to take it all apart and flip over the paper so that I have just plain white. But I do feel like this needed a little bit more oomph behind it. So we're going to take these off, we're going to take a look. I think once we get the pictures on, I think that'll look good. Yeah, I do. I do think it needed, it was just so stark that I think it needed that. Okay, so we are going to do the same thing on this side, but we need to remove our pieces here. And we're going to do a little bit of that on this side. And again, anything that I don't like these big blotches, I can also use some embellishments for, right? So we can play around a bit. Okay, so I'm going to try and keep this contained. Oops. Don't know. Did we do it like that? Or we just moved everything and I didn't move it. There we go. I'm just going back to my block and picking up a little bit of ink onto the tip here so I don't have to squeeze out anymore. Okay. It's funny, I've been working on my website this weekend, and one of the things, as I said, messy and fun, were two of the words that I used on my description, and I think I have now proved the messy part. Don't know if I've proved the fun part yet, but I've definitely proved the messy part. Again, just getting a little bit left on this side. Going back and trying to pick up a little bit more color here. Okay, I think that's good. I think that's good. Some of these pens are a lot more, this stuff comes out very quickly, so, and others of them you have to really work at, so I just find that some are just, and I didn't actually shake that one up very much, so I didn't get a lot of the color per se, the shimmer out. Okay, so I just cleaned that up. Don't think there's much I can do about my fingers at this point. I'm just double checking that I'm not going to transfer ink to anything by just double checking and running all of my fingers over. I'm just using a baby wipe. You can see got nice and inky, but I just want to make sure that I get any ink off of my fingers that might transfer to my pictures or my layout or in some way transfer. So, and I'm also going to clean up my desk quickly because I did get some overspray and I want to make sure that I get that off sooner rather than later. So we'll just shift a few things around here so I can clean that up so that I don't transfer anything that I don't want transferred. Okay, all right, there we go. We'll slide everything back up again. All right, I think we're good. And let me just check again on my camera that we're semi-visible here. I think we're good. Just waiting for the camera to catch up with me. Looks like I need to shift this guy up a little bit more. Okay, all right, I think we're good. Okay, so now if I put this down, I have a little bit more happening behind it, but I might want to put it over here now to cover up some of those splotches, those bigger splotches that I had. We're gonna see. We're gonna play with this a little bit. Okay, so now that I've got my photos, I've got my big magnolia here with my leaf, and I'm not sure what those are, so we're going to slide that over. And I believe we're going to, and I still like this, I think, here. I think we're going to pop this up. So again, we're going to use our handy dandy 3D foam tape. We're going to use our thick 3D foam tape or a standard 3D foam tape. So we're going to take that, grab scissors. Yes, you can tear this. I know I see lots of people that do tear this. I do want to, so I want to be careful here because I'm going to overlap these two pictures. So I do not want to put 3D foam tape right here. I want to come in a little bit farther. So I don't know what I was saying before I did that. Anyway, there we go. Again, 3D foam tape, leaving the edges also open, just in case I want possibly to tuck something underneath that. And I'm going to go ahead and do this guy as 3D foam tape as well. little bit long, but that's okay. Hopefully everyone's having an enjoyable weekend this weekend. We went back to school this week, full week this week. First in-person school in over 18 months. I will have to say it was quite weird having her gone, having Amelia gone all day. I mean, I'm glad she's back, but having nobody in the house was an unusual experience for me, I do have to say. But I think it went well. I think the first week of school went well. She's got a lot of homework. Junior year, it's a big year, so it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be an interesting one. Okay, so I am gonna pop up this flower as well. And again, I'm going to be putting that leaf behind the flower. So I just want to make sure that I get enough tape, but not so much that I'm blocking putting that flower on. Okay, so this we're going to lay down first. Like so. I'm just wondering, do we want, yeah, I don't think we need to do 3D foam tape on this, so we're going to just go ahead. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, chances are you probably don't want to start working on a layout right away after you do your splatters like I just did, just because they're going to be a little bit wet and you want them to soak into the paper. But anyway, I didn't do so much that it was a big deal, but just a comment. Probably I'm off of camera right now. Trying to decide where I want to put this guy. I think I want it right there. Okay, that guy looks a little crooked, but I think I'm stuck. I think I'm stuck with that one. All right, so this still feels like it needs something. It still feels like it needs something to pop it up the page. There's not enough, and this is also going to be written on, so I don't want to necessarily put, I don't necessarily want to put it on 3D foam tape. So the question is, I have our old circle die cuts, and do we have one that will work for this? So these are our old circle die cuts. These are now retired. You cannot get them anymore. But, okay, that's too small. Okay, so that's the size we're going to want. All right, so I'm going to quickly run this through the die cutting machine and get this die cut out. And hopefully it won't be too loud. I have my headphones in, so I'm hoping this isn't too loud for everybody. Almost at an hour again. I always have grand plans that I'm going to get through more than I do get through. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if we do that. Like that. Oh yeah, I think that works. Okay, so let me just, I don't want to lose these, but I don't want them in my way right now. Okay, so I think that works really well. Okay, so we are going to glue this guy down here. And then we're going to put it in that upper corner there. I'm probably not going to put a title on this right now because I don't really know what pictures I'm going to put on. And so since I don't know the pictures, I don't necessarily want to commit myself to a title at this point. And that's, you know, an option. It's just use your layouts. I do try to show them with the pictures so that you see me using my pictures and not just creating layouts. This week I just didn't have time to spend to go through my pictures. I had jury duty for 3 days this week, and I just didn't have the time to really to catch up on work, and then to also think about what pictures I wanted to put on these layouts. But I did want to show you this layout because I really felt like it was a good use of the paper and learning how to break up the busyness or the heaviness potentially that you would see. So I think I might change my layout here so that I can hide these big splotches, right? So these big splotches were a little bit bigger than I wanted. And so I think what I want to do instead of my initial plan is I think I might want to do I want to go over a little bit more? I think I might do this instead. And in that case, I do want this to be 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So we're going to trim this guy up. Going to keep these little guys at the same size. Or the same bluebell backing here. And I'm just making a slight adjustment to this layout to sort of hide those extra splotches that were just a little bit heavy. But I am going to come down as far as I possibly can, like that. And then my other pieces that I had here, I'm going to have to change up a bit, I think. So that's going to go here. And then I'm going to pull out this is my sticker sheet. I still have my sticker sheet here. I'm just trying to see, is there something down here? I want to try and create a triangle, right? So I've got this up here, this. So I'm trying to see if there's something down here that I can put to create that triangle feel. And I do have a couple more of these guys. So let's just see if I can create a cluster out of these. Again, I'm going to take the sticky off of them. Using my anti-static pouch so that I can play around with placement. So that's one of the things. I like the stickers. I like the weight of the stickers. I like how they feel and the way that they've done the artwork on them. But from a placement perspective, I don't want to commit myself with the sticker. So that's why I am taking it off. But I also know that these are going to kind of fade into the background if I'm not careful with these guys. I feel like these are not going to serve me well in this case. Okay, so the stickers I don't think are going to work. Just trying to see if I have anything else on these. And I don't see that I do. Just looking through all my embellishments to see if I have any embellishments that I might be able to use with those stickers to create a little bit more. Since I don't have any leaves left that I can use. Now I could go cut some leaves out, right? I could go do that, but I'm not sure I want to spend the time and do all that trimming. So I'm just seeing, do I have something else that I can use in my stash? So these are Bloom with Grace shapes. These are some older shapes. So again, taking some of these wooden shapes and seeing if I can make those work. They would actually work really well with this bigger one. So we're going to maybe move some stuff around here so that we can maybe make this work. Because I kind of really do like this. You see I'm turning it over too, so I'm really kind of liking this. And that means I can maybe use those other things on I'm just trying to see what's going to work with this particular flower. How can I get this wood shape and this flower to kind of play well together? So if I take this bigger magnolia, then I can use the leaf and that piece, and again, just trying to see what else I have left in this bag. Because once I do something on one side, I want to make sure that I'm doing something similar or making it work on the other side. So I can't just say, you know, I'm going to have one wood shape on one side and not have any wood on the other side. I need to make sure I'm balanced. So, okay, that might work. And this actually looks a lot like these olive, I think that's why I like it, these olive branches. It looks very, very similar to those olive branches. I don't think that one will work, but I think I can do this. Okay, so I think we are going to just trying to decide where I want this wood piece to go. I'm not liking that one. It's just not working for me. Wish I had another one of those. That would be ideal. But I might be able to get this guy to work. And it's thicker than what my piece is. I see that's where I have a space. Sorry, I'm talking my way through this. See, this is where the YouTube video would be good because I can just play around and then speed it all up. But that's not an option because I don't have this being recorded for that. Okay. I think I like that and I like that. Okay. I think we're good. So, 3D foam tape again. So we're going to put the 3D foam tape on our flower. And then we'll adhere our pictures down here in a minute. And I'm not sure where this is going to stick in yet, so let me play around a bit. Okay. What I'm thinking I want to do is I want to adhere this piece down first, and then I want to we're going to do micro dots. I'm going to take my micro dots And then since I'm going to adhere this one down first, that'll make it easier for me to place that magnolia. Okay, so these guys are the little guys. I'm just trying to get that in the middle here of these leaves so that they don't sort of show through. If I had my good liquid adhesive, I would probably use that. Oops, did I do the right side? Hope I did the side I wanted. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay. So we're going to put this guy down here. And I didn't push that down very hard. I'm trying to make sure that that's the placement that I wanted. And then just like that. Okay. So now we've got this guy. Same thing, we're going to do 3D foam tape on this. And we're going to go a little bit longer today. Sorry guys, I was not completely laid out to make it faster, obviously. So, okay, so we're going to put this guy, I think, right there. Put our adhesive on this, stick that leaf in, put our adhesive on this, and get that in. And then I wanted to put this other one on, and I'm going to have to double up my 3D foam tape. So if I had made this thin instead of thick, then I wouldn't have had to worry about that. But because I've got that popped up higher, I need to make sure that this lower piece, or that this one side, has more oomph to it to pop it up. So we'll do that. Oops, that's kind of showing. I don't want that showing. Let's trim that up just a tad. Okay. So I'm going to put, oops, that one's a little bit too thick now. I should have done a thin and a thick. And then I might do that one down there. Okay, so this one we're just going to put the adhesive on. So I did end up using those, all of them. Do I want it here? Do I want it over here? I think I like it over here. Okay, there we go. Then the last thing we're going to do is we've got these little strips of journaling. And so my thought was they were going to go here and here. Oh, and I have to adhere these guys down. Almost forgot to adhere my pictures down. There we go. So I still have room for a title up in the top left over there. I also could put a title across this section here as well. Oh, I keep cutting these way too short. So that's another option. So again, depending on what pictures I select, that will help me determine, you know, A, what the title obviously is going to be, and B, where it's going to best fit depending on how long it is. So that's also going to come into play. Okay, so let me get these adhered down, and we are going to go another few minutes here because I wanted to talk about a couple of other things before we finished up today. Okay, so remember, I'm trying to cover up those bigger splotches, but I am still trying to be and I'm going to pop these guys up too. Still trying to be straight, still trying to see some color here. Oh, looks like I'm at the end of this roll. And we'll see if we can pull this off. I think I mentioned last week that on the thick 3D foam tape I've had a problem pulling it off like that. You can kind of see didn't quite all come off with that pull. So we need to put some adhesive on that. Let's see if we can pull off the rest of this. Yeah, see, I mean, I'm working at it, and granted, I don't have great fingernails, but it's, you know, just literally just sort of tearing. So I do find that it's easier to pull it off from the thin 3D foam tape than from the thick, just as I got lucky the last week when I did that same thing. Okay, again, I want to try and cover that, but I also want it to be placed well. Okay, we'll just use thin 3D foam tape on this guy. It's fine. Just not sit up quite as high as the other ones. I just don't have to run across my room here to go get some more 3D foam tape. Okay. And I probably could have put more on here than I did, but since we're already running late, I don't want to. Cool. Okay, so the last piece would be to put these pieces down, these journaling spots, but I'm going to go ahead and not do that right now, but that's what those spaces would be used for. All right, so here is our 2-page layout, and pretty happy with it. Kind of like it. So again, I've got my triangle, so I've got, you know, this sort of the point of the triangle. From a perspective, journaling will go here and here, so that will fill in those spaces, and I can put a title here or a title here, right here in the middle. I've got enough space to put a really cool title potentially here. So again, lots and lots of options with that. Okay, so one last thing before we go. Okay, so one of the other things, there was another consultant, Susan Williams, and she had this wonderful idea for layout, and her layout was using Isabella, just like this one is, and I'm going to just do a sample of this. So this is a piece of the leftovers that I have. This leftovers is, you know, I don't want to throw it away. I mean, it's a perfectly good piece of paper. And again, I'm just going to cut off that zip strip here. But, you know, I could do lots of things with this. This could be a panel down the side. I could flip it over and use this side. It could be a panel like this. So this piece is actually a pretty good piece that I can use potentially on another layout. I'm just picking up another one. This one is another one, right? And again, it's another pretty good size piece, but I'm going to show you an example of this one with this one. Is that if you've got like these leftover pieces and you're not sure what to do with it, and you're not sure if there's maybe another layout that you can make with it, obviously you can still make cards with it too, which next week we're going to look at that. But if I take a 1-inch strip of this paper, and then I take a 3-inch strip of this paper, I can use this to create a layout. So I'm going to just cut a bunch of these. And I would do that with all of the leftover paper of this paper pack. And I can use the front side, or I could use the back side, whichever way. This should be another 3 inches. Yep. So if you do 3 inches, you'll get 4 pieces out of that one 12 by 12. And I could use the fronts or the backs. Now, in this case, it probably wouldn't work very well with the backs of these because these tiles didn't lay out well. But I've got now 4 pieces of this. And then I can take the complementary paper, like the blue or the yellow or the sage, and I can cut strips 1 inch by 3 inches of these. And I can do that with all of these different papers that are part of this paper pack. And I'm just seeing if I have another piece that I can cut up, possibly. Here we go. So here's another piece that I can cut up, and I'll do 1 inch by 3 inches on this. And then you created a brick pattern essentially on your layout, and you do that brick pattern, and it just creates this really cool like breakup of all of these different really heavy patterns, right? And it doesn't draw, or it doesn't cause your eye to go crazy. So you take these and you take a piece of paper. Sorry. I really wanted to show this today because I don't know if we're going to do this next week. This is on my possibilities, but I also wanted to show you a cool card idea for using some of these papers next week. So just sort of bear with me. So you can create what I would call is like a brick pattern. You can lay out these various different pieces, and obviously I don't have a lot of them, but you create a brick pattern like this, and I would use more than what I have here, and you would offset, so you do this, and then you offset this one. You got that one, and again, when you have more patterns it will look better. And then if you add some solid pieces in, then you have places to stamp. And you can use, this was a stamp set that I'm going to try and use, so I might try and do this during the week and just take a picture of it. But then you could use I love, you could put that here at the top, and then you can stamp on the solid pieces some of these other things: your face, your crazy side, your smile. And you can create this layout, us, having you in my life. And Susan Williams created this layout using this stamp set of moments with you. It just was so cute. So anyway, this is another idea for getting those pieces smaller, some of these really bold prints. And again, same thing, you could use the other side of that diamond pattern one. Getting these bold prints down and not being so heavy on the eye. And so that was sort of the point of today's layout. It was how could I make these somewhat bold, kind of crazy prints, not crazy and crazy, but crazy, just big prints that would allow you to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to just see if I can. I don't know if I can get this down to 1 inch by 3 inches. I'm trying to see if I can salvage this, and I don't think I can. I was hoping I could salvage that piece, but it doesn't look like I can. See, I do try to use everything that I can. Anyway, okay, so that is it for today. Next week, like I said, I'm going to be finishing up with Isabella, the paper pack. That's the last week of that paper being available, so it's going to retire at the end of this month. I have been noting about our retirement of our core catalog and the retirement of the 2-month catalog. So again, both these catalogs are actually retiring at the end of this month. And so if there is something that you like, you will want to try to see if you can find it still there, because there are a number of things that are low quantity or are gone. An example is one of my favorite things out of the old core catalog, or the existing core catalog that will soon be the old core catalog, is the wood grain paper. That is completely gone. That's not available anymore. So if there's something that you like, almost all the stamp sets are pretty much going away. Almost all of the die cuts are going away. And again, a lot of the specialty papers are also going away. So you might want to take a look and see if there's anything there that you like. All right, everyone, I am now 20 minutes over. Hopefully everyone has an enjoyable rest of their day, and I will see you here next week. Have a great one. Bye.